What is up, guys? Londrick here, and now I'm back with another edition of Lundrick's Fave Five, and this will be the second of last Fave Fives of 2019. And it's a pretty obvious one. We're now less than a month away from Wrestle Kingdom 14, Night 1 and Night 2 this year. So that got me thinking, what the obvious choice would be to do a Fave 5 Wrestle Kingdom matches, right? I've done this with various WWE shows. I've done it with G1 Climax earlier this year. So, of course, Wrestle Kingdom is the pinnacle for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, let's do it. I mean, Wrestle Kingdom, of course, the January the 4th annual shows in the Tokyo Dome. The biggest New Japan show of the entire year. New Japan's version of WrestleMania. The whole January the 4th Tokyo Dome tradition goes back to about 92, 93, early 90s anyway, but so from then on to right now, every single January the 4th has had a big event in the Tokyo Dome. We had different incarnations over the years, but in 2007, the spectacular was rechristened Wrestle Kingdom, and here we are. We're going to get the 14th one in just a few weeks' time, and regarding that, all the cards have officially been released this morning. I don't know if you've noticed, but and I will be doing a full preview / predictions probably about a week before the show, but I will say really looking forward to the show. There's some things I'm not too keen on, but some of the bigger matches, yeah, that's going to be great. I'm looking really forward to it. Obviously, Liger's retirement, the old Intercontinental IWGP heavyweight title situation, the junior heavyweight situation, all that sort of stuff. But that's not a video for right now. Right now, we're going to go to the past, talk about Fave 5 Wrestle Kingdom matches. Some of the last few Wrestle Kingdoms have been all-time classic events, really, haven't they? Let's be honest. I would say especially 9, 10, 11, 12. Some of the absolute greatest wrestling shows I've ever seen in my life. So with that being said, to pick 5 of all these epic shows is a really tough task. So some of your absolute favourite matches of all time won't be on this list simply because it's only a Fave 5 and I've got to omit some of them. So let's run through some of those honourable mentions. Honourable mention, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi, Wrestle Kingdom 9. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenny Omega. Last year, Wrestle Kingdom 13. Okada versus Naito from Wrestle Kingdom 12. Tanahashi versus Naito from Wrestle Kingdom 11. Tomohiro Ishii versus Kazuchika Shibata from Wrestle Kingdom 10. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 7. But enough about honourable mentions, let's get down to the list. Coming in number 5, two guys you're probably very familiar with right now if you're a WWE fan, and that's for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, Wrestle Kingdom 10 2016, champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus challenger AJ Styles. Now, this is one of those matches, if you're just a WWE fan and that's all you know, or you just watch American wrestling in general and you've never seen a New Japan show in your life, and you might have been wondering, 2018, WrestleMania 34's come around. The hype was massive for AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. Everyone is hyping up of this dream match, this epic match is going to take place at WrestleMania, and it's going to blow everyone's socks away. And you're thinking, what was the fuss about really? Is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura that really of an exciting match? Then you probably saw the WrestleMania 34 match, saw that, yeah, this was a good match, but is that it? Is that what all the hype and all the fuss was about? All this dream match talk? Everyone was hyping up this match is going to be this awesome thing. So you might, and then obviously the subsequent rematches, a lot of the matches very good to great, but really classic matches, no. I'll say, and then obviously the Money in the Bank match was probably the best one that he had, last man standing match. But so if you're wondering really what was the fuss all about, then you've never seen this match, have you? I mean, this match really is one of those just great matches that happens, and in a really weird time for both men's career, because we didn't know it at the time, but this was going to be both guys' last big New Japan match. Both are going to go to WWE right after this, and here we are, 2019 going to 2020, and they're both still there. So really, this was thought of as a dream match even then. So a little bit of background story. So AJ Styles for well over 10 years at that point was TNA's one of TNA's main men. A lot of people call him Mr. TNA, including me for many years. He was a homegrown guy that really helped carry the company. He was one of those ones where you thought, this guy's probably going to be in TNA for the rest of his career. But that all changed in early 2014 when AJ Styles' contract was coming up. AJ Styles and TNA unable to agree a deal. And so it's just then TNA obviously let one of the biggest assets go. So at the time you're thinking, could AJ Styles end up in WWE? That's not what happened. Instead, AJ Styles went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, became kind of a big, not just kind of a big deal, he became a massive deal, got a humongous push right off the bat, ended up being the leader of the Bullet Club, became a two-time IWGP champion. In my opinion, AJ Styles' New Japan run, maybe my favourite run of AJ Styles' entire career, and that covers a lot of ground because of all the years in TNA, the first couple of years in WWE. But I really do believe that. But he was there for about good 2 years. Faced likes of Okada, Tanahashi, Naito. But one man always eluded him, and that man was Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ's faced all the New Japan big guns, except for Nakamura. Now, whether this was on purpose or not, I don't know. Maybe it was just a happy accident that they didn't just happen to put them in the same G1 blocks or anything like that. But here we are, now a big Wrestle Kingdom show in the Tokyo Dome. You've got your big main event, Okada versus Tanahashi. Big showdown for the IWGP Heavyweight title. So what to do with AJ Styles? Well, Shinsuke Nakamura was also the Intercontinental Champion at the time. AJ Styles had been there, done that with the IWGP Heavyweight title. Why not have AJ Styles challenge Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental title at Wrestle Kingdom? Then you've got yourself one hell of a semi-main event, haven't you? And at the time Nakamura had been a big star in New Japan for a long time. I believe he's the youngest IWGP Heavyweight Champion in history. Had main event at Wrestle Kingdom himself, including Wrestle Kingdom 2 with Hiroshi Tanahashi, and most recently Wrestle Kingdom 8 as the Intercontinental Champion versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Pretty sure Nakamura was a champion going to that one. I think so anyway. But at the same time, I think he was at the point of his career now where Tanahashi had his long run as the ace. Okada in his 20s was going to be the ace. It was about IWGP Intercontinental Champion was probably about as good as it was going to get for Nakamura. And in many ways, he's kind of what Naito is now. Popular, always going to be used well, headline the B shows, but never going to be the guy. And it's just kind of interesting at that point in the career where they are. And this match happened. And a lot of the funny thing about this match as well, this match was actually in jeopardy at the time. I don't know how many people remember this. But right near the end of 2015, AJ Styles suffered a back injury, was actually forced to pull out the entire World Tag League Tour at the time. And a lot of people wondering, will this match actually happen? Because obviously AJ had been going hard in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is only going to be his second Wrestle Kingdom on this particular run. When I say this particular run, because he was in some of the very early Wrestle Kingdoms when TNA and New Japan had a partnership. So he wrestled Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 9. It would have been a big shame to miss this match because at the same time, he was gearing up for a big Ring of Honor title match with Jay Lethal at Final Battle 2015 as well. So I guess with some DDP York and just general rehab, he was able to get back. He got through the Final Battle match and then he got through this match. And if you've only seen the AJ Nakamura WWE matches and you're thinking, well, I wonder what's all the crack was about. This is exactly why that WrestleMania 34 match in particular was so disappointing. This was an absolute classic, just a super hard, aggressive match. And I do kind of love how AJ Styles changed his style, no pun intended, at the end of his career. Because obviously he's in his 20s and his TNA days, when he was in the X Division. He was Mr. High Flying, all these awesome moves and all that. But then here we are, he gets a little bit older. When you're in your late 30s, you just can't athletically do what he did at 25. So I think he probably learnt this working in New Japan with different guys. I think he slowed his style down a little bit, got a bit more aggressive, and cut out a lot of the high spots. Don't get me wrong, he still did high spots, and he still does do high spots in WWE from time to time. But that's not really his game anymore. He's more of a mat wrestler. He's more of a striker. And this match was brilliant, like absolutely hard hitting as fuck. Just brilliant story being told in this match. Two guys just wanting to beat the crap out of each other. Two of the best wrestlers on the planet at the time, and maybe in AJ Styles' case still is. Nakamura not so much, but because obviously it was going to be a hard task to top to steal the show when Okada versus Tanahashi was the main event. But these guys gave it a massive go, and they came so close. But the match was epic in its own right. One of both guys' best matches ever. I mean, for me, AJ Styles' best match in New Japan easily, and probably better than any match he's had since then. Nakamura, I think he's had a few better matches than this, but this match was absolutely awesome in its own right. Nakamura goes over to retain the IWGP Intercontinental title, and then a weird thing happened after this. Right, not too long after this show, maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, I can't remember. It was announced that both men were leaving the company. Both guys had put the notice in, both guys are moving on, and both guys moved on to WWE. And now, of course, we know what happened with AJ Styles. I think the thing with AJ Styles, I think what he said is working in Japan was great, but it was his family life he was concerned about. Because I think one of the things he said, if like something happened to his wife or one of his kids or something, they were in a car accident or anything like that, and he was in Japan at the time, and he couldn't get there right away to be by the side, that would have been so hard for him. So I think that was the main reason he left Japan to go work back in the United States, and obviously he ended up debuting at Rumble 2016. But I think for Nakamura it was just time to move on and do something else with his career. And obviously he took a little bit longer than Styles to get WWE. He didn't make his debut until right before the night before WrestleMania 32, a takeover Dallas for Sami Zayn. So what a swan song really for these guys. I mean, AJ Styles left the company the next day on New Year's Dash, and I think Nakamura hung on till the New Beginning tour. But for the big singles match, what a way to go out. This was an absolute classic, and one of the all-time great Wrestle Kingdom matches. Coming in number 4, we're going to go back to Wrestle Kingdom 12, 2018. No holds barred match for the IWGP United States Championship. The dream match, really. Alpha versus Omega. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. Now, if people take notice of my reviews, you'll think, you got 5-star matches on this, you only rated this 4 3/4. The Fave Five is all about personal preference rather than objectivity. So, objectively, there was a couple of better wrestling matches than this one that would have made the list. But for me, I just love this match so much. This was a big dream match for me. And really one of the things that really got me excited about New Japan, because told the story before, got to New Japan full time in 2017. Then obviously Power Struggle 2017 happens. Chris Jericho, of all people, shows up in New Japan Pro Wrestling to challenge Kenny Omega. And for me, that was when I decided, right, I'm subscribed to New Japan World now, because I was on the fence about it. I mean, hindsight, I probably should have signed up for the G1 27, and I didn't, and then I feel I feel like bad about it. So when Jericho came, I was like, right, I have to watch this match live. I don't care what time of day in the morning it is. I'm going to watch this match live. I'm getting New Japan World. So I think what's so appealing about this match, because it was this match that people thought would never ever happen. Because like AJ Styles and TNA, I think everyone just thought Chris Jericho was going to be WWE for life. And hell, I even think Chris Jericho thought that. I mean, Chris Jericho debuted in the WWF in 1999, and here we are. With a few breaks here and there, Chris Jericho was pretty much WWE through and through. I mean, he'd been through so much in that company, but through one of these breaks, and it's quite genius of Chris Jericho to do this. When all of his comebacks since like 2012, Chris Jericho only ever signed short-term deals, so he'd be with the company for a few months and then he'd move on, like do his stuff with his band and all that and come back. So it's because of these short contracts when Chris Jericho's last WWE run ended, which in the spring of 2017, after that feud with Kevin Owens, bar one-off match, which I believe that was in either July or August, I can't remember what it was, but it was a triple threat match of Kevin Owens, AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. So once again, Chris Jericho's free to do what he wants, and I think me, like everyone else, is thinking, oh, he'll just take a break, he'll probably come back to WWE in 2018 to do something for WrestleMania 34. But Chris Jericho had other ideas. He got this idea in his head that, actually no, I take that back. I think it was Don Callis or someone that phoned him up and pitched the idea of him going back to New Japan to have one big Wrestle Kingdom Tokyo Dome match of Kenny Omega. And I think immediately that appealed to Chris Jericho, so he was definitely thinking about it. Then I think Gedo came down to make him a genuine offer, so he thought, I'll do this one match in Japan. This sounds like a pretty cool idea. It might be interesting. And then it happened. So I remember at the time Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega were messing about on Twitter, talking shit about each other. And I think me, like everybody else, thought, there's just these guys messing about, having fun at our expenses, never actually going to lead or anything. So obviously at the same time, which I'll get into later when I talk about another match, Kenny Omega had an epic rise to the top in New Japan Pro Wrestling. For years he was in the junior heavyweight division, junior heavyweight champion, member of the Bullet Club, and then like I say with AJ Styles leaving the company, Omega became the leader of the Bullet Club and then became a legitimate main event star. Probably the hottest guy that wasn't working in WWE at the time. Maybe still is, I don't know. That's up for debate. I probably think it's probably John Moxley at the moment, but whatever, you guys can debate that whatever you want. So, and what's interesting as well, Kenny Omega, pretty similar style to Chris Jericho, similar look. Both grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Obviously, a big age gap, having Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega about 13, 14 years apart. So here we are, power struggle. Omega defends his US title against Beretta, I believe it was. And then Chris Jericho peters on the Titantron to pretty much the shock of everyone. Then makes a big challenge for Kenny Omega, Wrestle Kingdom, January the 4th for the IWGP United States title. Wow. That was a big wow moment. And quite amazing it wasn't leaked either, because obviously the last however many years the internet's been a thing, last 20 odd years or whatever it was, very, very hard to keep things a surprise anymore. Most of the time, someone's coming into a company or somebody's coming back or something like that. Very, very seldom it's managed to not get a leak. And this was one of those times, and wow. And I loved the build-up of this as well. It just felt like great. And yeah, I was just so excited to see the match. This is the match I was looking forward to for Wrestle Kingdom. And I feel like, obviously they had the momentum of 2017 with the Okada Omega series and all that. But I feel like getting a star like Chris Jericho to face Kenny Omega is definitely what helped boost New Japan's popularity in like the Western side, or the UK, United States, Canada, all that sort of thing. English-speaking countries anyway. I feel like this was definitely what helped New Japan's popularity grow. I know this got a lot of people talking. From what I understand, the announcement of this match got the New Japan World subscriber list went massive in going into that Wrestle Kingdom. And to the core Japanese audience, of course, Okada vs Naito was the main event. Absolutely it was. But I think the people outside of Japan, so like I say, UK, Ireland, America, Canada, this was the match everyone was thinking of as the main event, and I was too. I was so hyped for this match. And this match is not disappointing. I love the fact this match just felt so different. Because New Japan don't really do stipulation matches that often. I mean, in the last 2 or 3 years, they've kind of done more, and they're going to even have a Texas Death Match at this year's Wrestle Kingdom, which I'm pretty sure they've never done before. But it wasn't until 2016 that they even had a ladder match. Like for the most part, New Japan's been straight up 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 wrestling matches. And so the no holds bar stipulation just helped make this match feel so different, and the style of match as well was just complete. This to me felt like an old style Attitude Era brawl. I mean, that's how I saw it anyway. I feel like Chris Jericho's heel work in this was magnificent, and he's just so brutal and badass. I mean, I think Chris Jericho's like brawling style that he's adopted at this stage of his career definitely reminds me of a 1989 Terry Funk. I mean, that's kind of the vibe I get from Chris Jericho these days. And Omega was the perfect good guy to do it with. I mean, just because there's a lot of question marks. Because yeah, at the time Chris Jericho was 47 years old, and he hadn't had an amazing match in quite a long time. He had a lot of great matches, but not that tremendous match he's ever had. But this match delivered in absolute spades. Delivered everything I wanted it to. Told an amazing story, just so entertaining. It had me gripped from start to finish. And of course Kenny Omega went over, because it would have been daft for them to bring in Chris Jericho to beat Kenny Omega. Especially at the time, because we thought this was going to be one and done for Chris Jericho. Of course that didn't turn out to be the case, because he had Wrestle Kingdom 13, and he's going to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom this year against Tanahashi. But yeah, the buzz about this match and all that stuff. And Chris Jericho really rolling back the years to have one of the best matches of his entire career. And Kenny Omega gets another big Wrestle Kingdom win under his belt. Awesome stuff. Love this match. You definitely need to check it out. Coming in at number 3, we're going back to 2015, Wrestle Kingdom 9 for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Hiroshi Tanahashi facing Kazuchika Okada. I think a lot of the popularity New Japan got in the United States, this was probably the beginning of it, because it was a lot of people's first exposure to New Japan. And it's something that seems completely weird and random now. Global Force Wrestling, which of course was run by Jeff Jarrett, and we don't need to go into details about how that was a big flop and all that. But one of the big coups he actually got, somehow, I don't know how he did this, but Jeff Jarrett managed to negotiate to get the rights to broadcast Wrestle Kingdom on pay-per-view live everywhere in the world, in the United States, in English commentary as well. I think they had Jim Ross and Matt Striker doing the commentary. It was one of those things because I think that put a lot of people off watching Japanese wrestling for years. I know for me personally that was kind of a weary point I had, because obviously all Japanese wrestlers in Japanese commentary, it's hard to get the context and hard to understand the story and all that. So to have the chance to get in English was great, and I think a lot of fans are excited for this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it did on pay-per-view. Probably wasn't that great, but I think it was just kind of I don't know what the word to say is. I think it was just kind of cool to see the New Japan was getting some exposure in English commentary for the first time, and that of course led to where we are now with the New Japan World subscription thing. And not every New Japan show, but majority of New Japan shows in English commentary, and now there's big popularity. And the main event for this show was, of course, Okada versus Tanahashi, and this was quite long into the rivalry. So this rivalry has been going on for 3 years now. I mean, to a lot of people, including myself, I'll probably say this is a defining New Japan feud of this last little period. So from like 2012 until now, this is probably the defining rivalry of this era. I mean, I'm not that familiar with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s. So to be honest with you, so obviously this started like 3 years ago. At that point, Hiroshi Tanahashi had been the ace of the company for a good while. And then comes along, back from excursion, this young man by the name of Kazuchika Okada. Okada was 24 years old at the time. He'd obviously gone through the New Japan Dojo system, like so many do. Had his stint as a young lion, then went on excursion, and randomly on excursion to TNA Wrestling. It must have been 2010, 2011, and let's be honest, it's just kind of weird that TNA had Okada and they did absolutely nothing with him. I mean, it wasn't a good time for him. The excursion wasn't really successful. But apparently there's been a lot of heat between New Japan and Impact all these years later as a result of that. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I feel like I think the way that they used Okada made New Japan cut off all ties of TNA and stopped working with them after that. I think even to this day there's still some heat over that. So here we go, Wrestle Kingdom 6. Okada comes back with a new gimmick. He's now the Rainmaker Okada. He's got Gedo as his manager. And he beats Yoshihashi fairly easily in a pretty much run-the-mill match. Nothing exciting about it at all. And then after that, this young, brash Okada makes this daft challenge to Tanahashi. Yeah, despite the fact he's 24 and he's not proven anything yet, he's just come back off a sturgeon. He has the brass to challenge Tanahashi for the IWGP Heavyweight title. And Tanahashi kind of laughed at it. He accepted his challenge, but he kind of took this as a joke. This kid wants to challenge me? Who the hell does he think he is? So, at the new beginning in 2012, Okada and Tanahashi had a big match. Now, it just looked like really that Tanahashi was going to pretty much beat Okada fairly easily and then move on. But in what was an absolutely monumental upset, probably one of the biggest upsets ever in New Japan Pro Wrestling, this kid Okada beat Tanahashi clean to win the IWGP Heavyweight title, just 24 years old. This was a massive thing at the time, and just a massive, massive shock. I mean, obviously, like this year, you had a young Jay White win the IWGP Heavyweight title. However, at least Jay White had a good solid year of build-up behind him. Okada just came right out of the gate, shocked everyone to win the IWGP Heavyweight title. I mean, for Gedo, this was an absolutely massive gamble, because at the time, Okada wasn't proven. So you were going to take your guy, Tanahashi, have him put over this young kid and let this young kid be the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. This could have went so wrong for the company. This could have been so bad. Okada could have flopped massively and never be heard from again. But as you know, history knows, Okada swam. He did not sink, he swam. So obviously he had the title for a bit, and I think he lost the title back to Tanahashi at Dominion. But then, obviously, wins the G1 Climax 22. Gets another shot at Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 7. Although he fails this time, Tanahashi wins. And then these guys trade the title back again in 2013. So although Okada had a couple of victories over Tanahashi, even beating him twice for the IWGP Heavyweight title, the big win at Wrestle Kingdom, the Tokyo Dome, eluded him. And that's the thing, like, winning a title at like Dominion or Invasion Attack or King of Pro Wrestling or whatever is cool. But to do it in the Tokyo Dome, to do it at Wrestle Kingdom, that's the pinnacle. In that regard, it's like getting the big main event win at WrestleMania, really. So here we are. So after that, they have one more match than the G1 Climax 23. Then they kept apart from the entire 2014. I mean, at the time, AJ Styles becomes the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Then in 2014, Okada wins his second G1 Climax, beating Shinsuke Nakamura in the final. So at the time, when he won the G1 Climax, AJ Styles was a champion. So it goes, oh, right, Okada versus AJ Styles in the Wrestle Kingdom Tokyo Dome. This should be pretty cool. However, King of Pro Wrestling 2014, Tanahashi beats Okada to win back the IWGP title. So now Okada has a golden ticket. He has a shot at redemption. Now Tanahashi's the champion. He has to face Okada because contractually Okada won the G1 Climax, so he gets the title shot. So here we go. Okada Tanahashi. Okada has a big chance to beat Tanahashi. And I think at the time, because obviously I wasn't following New Japan at the time, I think everyone was thinking, well, Okada's probably going to win the title. Because I think at that point I knew enough that I knew who Tanahashi, I knew who Okada was, but I didn't really know the history, the backstory. Then Wrestle Kingdom 15 happened, no, Wrestle Kingdom 9, because I was thinking 2015, right, Wrestle Kingdom 9 in 2015 happened. I remember, look, because this is back at the Ask.fm days. I do kind of miss those days, to be honest with you. I do sometimes, yeah. Because it's back when a lot of people were trying to get me to watch New Japan, and I was kind of like resistant towards it. So then they pointed out to me, well, this is in English, so you might as well check it out, right? And then, so I thought about it, then I found out the show was like over nearly 5 hours long, and I thought, for a novice like me, I don't really want to dive right in and watch the entire show. So I agreed to watch the final two matches, and of course, one of those matches was Nakamura versus Ibushi, and the main event was Okada versus Tanahashi. I mean, I remember I watched Nakamura Ibushi and I thought, oh, this match was pretty awesome. And then I watched Okada versus Tanahashi and I was wowed. Like, I knew all about the New Japan style. I knew all the praise that a lot of these New Japan main events were getting, but I'd never experienced it myself, so I didn't really know. So then I watched this match and yeah, I was blown away. This match was an absolute classic. At that point, I'd say that was probably the best wrestling match I'd seen for probably about 5 years at that point, something like that. I was so impressed by that match that after that, slowly but surely, I watched a little bit more of New Japan. Then, of course, 2017, I became a full-time fan. But maybe if I didn't watch that Wrestle Kingdom, if I didn't watch that Wrestle Kingdom main event, I wasn't blown away by this match, maybe I would have just never watched a New Japan show again. I have no idea. But yeah, this match, and then to the shock of everyone, Tanahashi retains the IWGP Heavyweight title, so they built it up. Okada, could he do it? No, Okada couldn't. And then that image at the end of Okada breaking down in tears, crying. Wow, that was massive story, because the way Okada stole, how devastated he was. He had his chance to get the big win over Tanahashi, to hopefully supplant him as the ace of the company, and he failed. He failed right at the final hurdle. Just that experience and know-how with Tanahashi was enough to carry him through. And who knows? I have no idea at the time whether this was planned. I have to assume that Gedo must have known what he was doing. He must have known he had this match planned a year later. But we may get into that in a minute. But yeah, just that image of Okada crying at the end is probably one of the most talked about images of his entire career. And like I said, this match is a classic. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Coming in at number 2, and I imagine a lot of people's this will be their number 1. It's not my number 1, but it's my number 2, so that's a great spot anyway. Wrestle Kingdom 11, 2017, of course, main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. Maybe the most famous Wrestle Kingdom match of all time. I'll probably say it's probably the most talked about Wrestle Kingdom match of all time, and I think it's the match that really got a lot more eyeballs on the New Japan product. I mean, I feel like obviously the Wrestle Kingdom 9 started and they got a little bit more popularity in 2015. 2016, I think they gained a little bit more popularity, but the hype for this match, I mean, the hype was unreal. Does it live up to the hype? In my opinion, yes, but there's something else that we'll talk about in a minute. And like obviously after this led to obviously the big match at Dominion and then the G1 Climax. And I think this is where Kenny Omega's superstardom blew up as well. So as we may talk about in a minute, 2016, Okada beats Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 10. Now he's the man. Now Okada is officially the man in New Japan. He briefly drops the title to Tetsuya Naito but wins it back at Dominion. And then he goes on this huge 2-year run as the IWGP Heavyweight title champion. Maybe the greatest, well, no, not maybe, I say it was the greatest IWGP title win of all time. So at this point, Okada has been pushed to the star for 4.5 years, going on 5 years now. And he was fully established as a top star in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Then we get another superstar that rises in 2016. And that man is Kenny Omega. So Kenny Omega had been in New Japan for a while. I mean, I think he started out in like 2012 or something like that. Him and Kota Ibushi as the Golden Lovers. Eventually, they go their own separate ways. Omega finds himself in the Bullet Club, primarily in the junior heavyweight division. For a couple of years, he's pretty much either the junior heavyweight champion or a top challenger for the junior heavyweight title. Wrestle Kingdom 9 and 10, he had IWGP junior heavyweight title defences. And then something happened. As I mentioned earlier, AJ Styles was the Bullet Club leader. And with AJ Styles leaving the company, that opened up two massive spots. Number one, obvious spot. The Bullet Club needed a new leader now because AJ was gone. Then with AJ Styles gone, New Japan needed a top American star now because they usually had one. It's a Gaijin. Gaijin is what they call. So AJ Styles was the top American star in New Japan. Or North American star in New Japan. So with those two spots open, Kenny Omega stepped right up and took them both. So I believe it was the following day, a New Year's Dash. Kenny Omega kicks AJ Styles out of the Bullet Club, and then Kenny Omega steals a spot as a leader of the junior heavyweight, the Bullet Club, and then with that leaves the junior heavyweight division, becomes a full-fledged heavyweight. And what a rise he had in 2016. I mean, this is a guy New Japan decided, right, this is going to be our top foreign star going forward. We're going to strap a rocket to his ass, push him to the top. Quite quickly, I believe the New Beginning show, he beats Tanahashi to become the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Holds that title for a while, loses the title to Michael Elgin at Dominion, and then becomes the first foreign star to win the G1 Climax. Wins, or at least the first North American star to win the G1 Climax. And I think a lot of people are surprised about this time, but yet he goes through all the blocks of the G1 Climax, beats Hiroshi Goto in the final, and wow, after just a few short months, 7 months in total, Kenny Omega has now beaten Tanahashi, had a reign as the Intercontinental Champion, and now he's won the G1 Climax, and he's going to Wrestle Kingdom. And obviously during that time, Okada managed to hold up the IWGP title for all that time, so now we're going to get Okada versus Omega for the IWGP heavyweight title. A lot of people are hyped about this. A lot of people are excited about this, and this was going to be a big match, and obviously they had quite a legacy to live up to, because the last two Wrestle Kingdom main events were both Okada versus Tanahashi classics. So at this point, Wrestle Kingdom was developing a reputation for being the best in-ring wrestling show on the planet. Could this live up to that? For me, this match was amazing. This was definitely a 5-star match. Now, the controversy comes from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. Controversially, broke his star rating system and awarded this match 6 stars, which... And then, obviously, that's just blown up to ridiculous proportions now, because once you go past 5 into 6 territory, where's the end? I mean, so from this point on, we've seen various matches get 5.5, 5.25, 6, 6.25, 6.5, and Omega versus Okada Dominion 2018 got 7 stars. But my thing of that, I will never ever do that. I know a couple of reviewers here on YouTube have done it, and that's their right, that's their channel, they can do whatever they want. But I'll never do it, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that would just open up so much criticism. So, say I give... what's the rest? So, say Okada versus Ibushi happens at Wrestle Kingdom 14. It's an amazing match. Then I declare this is a 6-star match. So, what's stopping people from the comment section going, well, if you think this is 6 stars, and why don't you go back and rate all your other matches? So why do you think Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 is only 5-star matches? So I think what Meltzer's done is open himself up to criticism, because if you're saying this is a 6-star match or whatever it is, why can't people go back and why can't you retrospectively award Austin versus Brett, or Undertaker versus Shawn, or other New Japan classics before this, more than 5 stars, you know? So that's the thing, like, I just can't accept that this match was a full star more than something like Undertaker versus Shawn or Brett versus Austin. So for me, and obviously Dave Meltzer can do whatever the hell Dave Meltzer wants. Dave Meltzer makes a lot of money doing what Dave Meltzer does. Dave Meltzer's done what he's done for years. It's entirely up to him, but for me, just personally, I feel like he shouldn't have done that, because I think he just opened up such a can of worms that it's kind of hard to come back from now. So for me, I'll always say 5 stars, that's it. I'm going no further than that. I just feel like you should give the match 5 stars, and then we can all debate what matches was better type thing. But yeah, what I loved about this match is the way this match built. This match was 47 minutes long. Pretty sure it's the longest Wrestle Kingdom match in history. Obviously we've had 1 hour draws before, like Dominion and stuff like that, but I think for Wrestle Kingdom this is the longest match. And I think a lot of people thought Omega might win the title at the time, because Omega did seem to have that much kind of buzz, and it looked like it might actually happen. But yeah, I just thought this was an amazing match, told a great story, had some exciting near falls, had a great pace as well for a 47-minute match. He worked extremely hard, but it was Okada that beats Kenny Omega. Now, at the time, you could say maybe Omega should have won, but I disagree because I feel like, look what all the stuff that happened after this. I think the entire story building up to when when Omega finally did beat Okada in 2018, I just feel like that story was amazing from start to finish, because obviously you had the 1 hour draw at Dominion 2017, then Omega beats Okada in the G1 climax, and now you've got the match, all the matches are tied, and they had that 2 out of 3 falls match at Wrestle Dominion 2018, then Omega finally wins. So if Omega had just won the title there, would we have really had that? We wouldn't have had that amazing story if Kenny Omega chasing for over a year and a half, would we? And it wouldn't have been so satisfying when he actually did it. But for me, an amazing match, like I say, could be argued the best Wrestle Kingdom match of all time. I would slightly disagree though, but it's going to be a lot of people's number one, but it's my number 2, but that's fine. So, that being said, if Okada vs Omega Wrestle Kingdom 11 isn't my top Wrestle Kingdom match of all time, what is? Well, simple answer, the year prior, Wrestle Kingdom 10. Okada vs Tanahashi for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Obviously we talked about a lot of the story in the previous for the previous Wrestle Kingdom 9 match. So since then, Okada has failed to supplant Tanahashi as the ace of the company. But then after that, so Tanahashi then loses the IWGP title to AJ Styles at a New Beginning tour. And then AJ Styles has a second run as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. But at Dominion in 2015, Okada wins the belt back from AJ Styles. So once again, Okada is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Then we get to the G1 Climax 26. No, sorry, I fucked that up. G1 Climax 25, excuse me. Looked like, so Okada, him and Tanahashi aren't in the same blocks. Okada gets the final day of his block, loses out to Shinsuke Nakamura. Tanahashi wins the other blocks. And then the final, Tanahashi versus Nakamura. Tanahashi wins his second G1 Climax. And obviously he won a third one 2 years later. So now Okada's the champion. We're going to potentially get the big rematch in Wrestle Kingdom 9, Okada vs Tanahashi, once again for the 3rd time in the Tokyo Dome, and the 2nd time in 2 years. And of course, Okada holds on to the belt throughout 2015. Tanahashi holds on to the rights to face the champion. And here we are, 1 year after the big match in 2015, after the big story of Okada failing to overcome Tanahashi. Now the roles are reversed. This time Okada's the IWGP Heavyweight Champion and Tanahashi's the challenger. So essentially both men were fighting for something. Tanahashi was fighting to once again be the IWGP Champion, and Okada was fighting for a shot at redemption. Right, he's fucked it up in 2015, but this time, this was his big chance. 1 year later, 1 year older, 1 year wiser. Could he do it this time? Could he beat Tanahashi to supplant him as it is? A 4-year journey, really, starting from Wrestle Kingdom 6. All that time, Okada had done a lot of things, but he'd never truly supplanted Tanahashi as the top guy. Now, for me, Wrestle Kingdom 10, for me, is the greatest Wrestle Kingdom of all time. I just love that show. So many amazing matches. Not only Nakamura versus AJ as well, but you also had in this show Ishii versus Shibata for the Never Openweight title. Omega versus Kushida for the Junior Heavyweight title. So to top all that off, amazing night of wrestling. You had Okada and you had Tanahashi. And you had the IWGP title. It was all on the line here. This felt like one of the biggest matches ever in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I totally believe it was. And these guys had so many great matches in the past as well. I'll say particular Wrestle Kingdom 9. I'll say King of Pro Wrestling 2013. That was a classic. Invasion Attack 2013. Wrestle Kingdom 7, of course. The first one in the Tokyo Dome. They'd had a couple of G1 Climaxes matches in that time. And they would have matches again later, but this kind of felt like the culmination of the story. For me, from start to finish, this match was brilliant. I just love the pace of it. I love the storytelling. Everything. It seemed like everything had a big purpose. They had Okada. Tanahashi controlled a lot of the match. Okada made his comebacks. Then we had some really massive near falls towards the end. I think the big one for me is right towards the end. when Tanahashi hit the high fly forms, like, that's it, surely, no. Okada kicks out, and then Okada hits that big final rainmaker. He finally does it. He finally puts Tanahashi away. After nearly 40 minutes of amazing wrestling, this match was a classic. Okada gets the big victory. So Okada finally does it. After 3 attempts, the third time's a charm, I guess. He finally beats Tanahashi in that big Tokyo Dome match to finally get his hand raised on that day, on January the 4th. And that was it. I think this was when Tanahashi was finally supplanted. Okada was now well and truly the top star in the company. And it was the end of a truly amazing story when you think about it, when you go all the way back to 2012. And here we are, 2016, and the story finally culminates. I mean, Okada and Tanahashi had matches since then, of course. I mean, they've had 3 separate G1 Climax matches. Hell, they even had another IWGP Heavyweight title match. And they've also wrestled for the briefcase as well. But for me, this is the end of the feud, and this match is amazing. This is probably, for me, the best, from what I've seen anyway. Maybe there's better matches from back in the day, but for me, I'll probably say this is definitely the best match ever to take place at the Tokyo Dome. For me, an absolute classic. Love this match. 5 stars, all that good shit. And that's a wrap, guys. So with that out of the way, next week we're gonna have Fave 5 wrestling shows of 2019, and then in the coming weeks, so what I've decided to do, I'm gonna do the top 15 WWE main roster matches, but I'm gonna wait for TLC, see what happens on that show, and see if anything sneaks in. But I've got the list written down, and then for NXT, I'm gonna wait till after the December the 18th show, because there's 2 big matches on that show. One, Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley. Then Adam Cole will be defending the NXT title against either Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, or Finn Balor. So I'm going to wait for that show to see what happens, and I'll be posting that list. And then after that, that'll be it for 2019, going into 2020. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, peace.